Okay, it says live. Okay.
You're live on YouTube now?
Okay, I'm trying to find it, but I don't see it yet. Let me
send you the link in the chat.
Okay. I see it. I see it now. I see it, TJ. I see it. So if you can hear me, let's see, Madam Mayor, Madam Felicia Moore, President, Atlanta City Council, if you have time, please describe what you would have happen if the mayor's health deteriorates due to COVID, and what would happen. Oh, I'm sorry, I've got to look at this. If you become, okay, I got Jennifer, I got the gist of your comments. Thank you. You're welcome, Ms. Bethune. I appreciate hosting this. Let me see what time it is. We got about 1 more minute and then we're gonna get started. I just wanna make sure I cool off a little bit. It's a little warm in here. Got all dressed up for everybody. I hope everybody's staying safe. And we'll get started in about, let's see, about 30 seconds or so. Well, actually, it is not pink, it's red. It may look pink on the camera, but it's actually red. Give me 2 seconds. Somebody's trying to text me while we're getting started. Okay. So let's get started. It is actually 1 o'clock, and you all know I like to be very timely. Good afternoon. This is Felicia Moore, your president of Atlanta City Council. I just want to start first before we even get started. We know Sequoia Turner and their family are probably just now wrapping up with the memorial services. She was the 8-year-old who was killed on University Avenue near the Wendy site that burned out near where Rashard Brooks was killed. And so I just want to take a second or two just to lift up her and her family, who has been grieving along with the city and everyone. It's just unfortunate. It's devastating. And I just want to lift up her name as well as the name of her and her family. So if everybody could just please just take 2 seconds and just think upon her family. All right, thank you. So I do have a few points, and then I'm doing 2 things at once. I'm on YouTube Live as well as Facebook Live. So bear with me because I'll have to go back and forth. And I will make sure that I go back and get the comments that I'm getting on Facebook and on YouTube. But I do want to just give an update that on the 6th of July, we conducted our last full city council meeting. It's the last meeting before the council meetings go on recess. That takes place July 20th through July 31st. There's some highlights from the meeting. There was the adoption of the 8 can't wait principles, 2 of which we're already doing, which is banning chokeholds and strangleholds. And the others are requiring the use of force continuum, which is already in effect, and some other things. However, I just got word that the mayor vetoed that legislation. So that will come up at our next full council meeting, which is the first Monday in August. The Atlanta Citizen Review Board investigative authority was expanded It also expanded its composition to include 2 new members that will be um, younger members, youth advocates from youth organization. The city council adopted Juneteenth as a designated paid city holiday. And there was legislation from the Committee on Council regarding remarks from the public. And so I just want to briefly talk on this one because I think people look at it different ways. And some are saying that it is to restrict the public comment, but it is not restricting public comment. What it is doing is telling people when to call for the meetings. Because, for instance, right now, you could, if it was for the Monday, the first Monday in August council meeting, you could be calling for almost 3 weeks to make those calls. And so typically when you came down to City Hall, you gave those comments when you appeared. So what they're doing is just streamlining it, particularly for staff purposes and to making sure that we get the comments, that there is a period of time before each meeting that you are to call in and leave those messages. You have a 2-minute limit to leave the messages for committees. You have 3 minutes, and then they're played during the meeting. So I do not agree that it is limiting public comment. It is just changing the way or the time frame for the public comments, because sometimes we have 2 or 3 weeks in between meetings. So that is that legislation. So in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, we're also managing some of the impact from the protests. Please continue to use the precautions that you have been using. That is face coverings, which the mayor has asked or mandated or asked people to use. And we've also gone back to the first phase, which is asking you to stay at home, only leaving your home if it is important or urgent for you to do so. Those numbers every day are just devastating, not only here in the city, but across the country. Please protect yourself and take this seriously, not only for you, but for those that you love and those that you are around. And let's see, the governor has also issued a state of emergency and he has activated 1,000 National Guards troops in the city of Atlanta in the midst of some of the things that have happened, particularly damage to state-owned property, and that's still in effect. So those are some of the things that I want to talk about. I'm going to go ahead and get those out so I can spend the rest of the time answering your questions. Don't forget that we have a runoff election, which is scheduled for August 11th. The Fulton County has 20 early voting locations. They're open July 20th through August 7th from 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. There is one Saturday date on July 25th and but 2, one on July 25th and one on August 1st from 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. DeKalb County will open 3 early voting locations on July 20th and 2 more on July 27th. Please check with your County Board of Elections for more specific information. So let me go back to the question. I have to scroll here, excuse me. Let's see. So, I think somebody is asking basically what happens. So your charter of the city of Atlanta has the mayor and then the president and council. The president and council is citywide, voted on citywide. If there's a disability of the mayor or unfortunately the mayor is deceased or resigns or whatever, or is even temporarily out of the country, the president of council becomes the interim mayor. And so that would be what would happen. I certainly hope and wish the mayor and her family well wishes. I see her out and about, well, not out and about, but on television. So she seems to be doing well. And the last time I saw her, it seems like her family is doing well. So we will hope that everything will be fine and there won't be any problems. But that is how the charter is set up. There is a succession planning. If the council president becomes the mayor, then the council president pro tem, which is voted on every year, would then become the council president. And this year, the council president pro tem is council member Michael Julian Bond. So everyone would move up, and then depending on the time frame, whether there would be a special election, which would be within 3 or 4 months, or if you would just finish out the term. But that would depend on a time frame of when there was a resignation or any other matter that would cause a succession line to go into effect. I hope I answered your question. If not, ask me more specific. Let's see if there are any other questions. Oh, so someone said they love the flowers. Are they from a specific occasion? And I think it was just an occasion of a supporter who just felt like I needed to be lifted up and sent me some flowers to make me smile. And they are gorgeous. And I thank them for it because it made my plain black blank wall back there look beautiful. Though there are wonderful, beautiful flowers. Um, Jennifer Brooks. Okay. All right. I got that one. Let's see what else. Thank you for monitoring, mentioning Sakura. This is Miss Ayers. May she find peace and happiness in the kingdom of God for real. You know, that was a very devastating thing to come as a result. And it's unfortunate that every night it appears. And maybe we're paying more attention now than before. But it seems that gun violence is at the root of a lot what's going on. Every night we're finding people shot, injured, and or killed in our city. This violence is taking place here in the city, as well as, you know, everybody's seeing an uptick in this type of activity. And we certainly don't want it to continue. But when a child is injured, we had a 9-year-old, I think, little boy that got injured over in East Atlanta Village. I believe it was East Atlanta Village, and then Sequoia. Um, Anytime a child is put in the harm's way, we certainly feel even worse. And not to say that an adult is not bad, but a child makes it even hit home. So, how will we get the virus under control with no support from the governor and the president? It's infuriating. Hi, Pam. Good to see you. I don't know. I think that we all have to be responsible. We're going to have to take our health and the health of others and controlling this virus in our own hands. And that is, of course, wearing the face coverings. We know, you know, this is a new virus and they're figuring it out every day. So they're learning something new every day. Excuse me, I'm getting messages from everywhere. And today, what we know is that if I wear a face covering and you wear a face covering, that we can lessen the transmission. This is airborne, as they're seeing the droplets. You know, as I'm talking now, droplets are all over the air. So let's try to do the best that we can to um, lessen the spread and do what we know we can. And if we can limit our exposure to other people and crowds, that'll be great. And I just think it's so unfortunate. I was coming down Hollowell Parkway the other day and I saw all these cars and I'm thinking, what's going on? And our young people are, I guess they're tired of being locked up or whatever, but they are meeting in groups. They're not wearing face coverings. And so if you have a young adult, I would say anywhere from teenage up to mid 20s, early 30s, you know, ask them, make sure that you are on their case about being out with their friends in these groups, that they're just sitting there breathing in each other's face and no face coverings. And as you know, they're meeting up with these car shows and that kind of thing, and it's just getting out of hand. Let's see if I have any others. Education and information is important. I agree with that. And, you know, people have to pay attention and they have to do it. You know, I don't think that you can moderate everybody's behavior, and the enforcement is a difficult thing to do as well. Okay, this is Muhammad. I'm really worried about our mayor. I hope there is a plan in place so she can see her own health needs with no pressure to keep up the demands of her office. She deserves consideration and relief. I apologize if my question came across as, and I think you are concerned, and we're all concerned. And I know that there have been organized prayers for the mayor and her family. I've shared that information. I've sent up my own, sent her, text her my own well wishes. We all are wishing her well. She appears to be doing fine. Like I said, I've seen her, and I think she's going to be on TV today. I saw her this morning on CNN. So seems that she's doing fine. She did say that she was asymptomatic, which is one of the reasons about going back to the question about how do we control this. One, people need to know their status. So if you have not been tested, it's time. It's past time. I know the lines are long, etc., but please, please go and get tested. I've been tested twice. I got tested back in May, and I just had a test result about a week ago. And every time I venture out, which I am limiting myself from doing, is having in-person meetings and venturing out. I'm trying to make sure maybe every other month, particularly if I go out in the public, to make sure that I get a test, even though I'm wearing my mask all the time. I'm taking the precaution, washing hands, hand sanitizing, keeping the social distance and all that. You just never can be too sure. So, I believe that she says she's asymptomatic, and that is the problem, is that you may have it and not know that you have it and unwittingly spread it. And you may not have symptoms, or either very mild symptoms. And if you have mild symptoms, you're able to do whatever, everything you always been able to do. And so I think she's doing just fine. And she said her husband, which was taking it harder, is doing fine as well. So let's keep her lifted up in prayer as well. Any other questions? Let's see. No, there's no guarantee, Ms. Matthews, against the virus, and that is the thing that we definitely have to be as cautious as we can. I mean, I've seen people on some of the national networks who've had the virus and got it again. I've seen people who said that they've taken all the precautions that they could take and they still received it. So I understand, and this is the most devastating part, is that right now there these virologists, and these are highly respected people, are saying that this is the calm before the storm. That in this fall and winter we will see numbers uptick like we haven't seen before. And I just can't imagine with the number of people who are testing positive, as well as our hospitals having to take in people, how it's going to be worse in the fall and winter. So um, I think we all just need to be prepared for it. And until everybody takes this seriously and does what they can to keep it from spreading, we may just continue to let it linger out there. And I certainly hope that's not the case, because we want to get back to a normal that we all can accept, where we can get out and do the things that we have to do. I feel for our small business owners who are out there struggling. Their businesses have not been able to operate the way that they had. For people who are renters, who are now in moratoriums because they may have been laid off from their job. Eventually, those will go away. I saw where Georgia Power is lifting their moratorium on collections. And so people's power is going to start being cut off if they're not able to pay those bills. Fortunately, the mayor has continued with the moratorium on shutoffs for the city's water, and that's a good thing. And where we can, we have encouraged the housing authority not to do any evictions on government-owned properties. Eventually, those things are going to go away. We need to pay attention to, and I have been with other elected officials across the country, well, what's going on in Congress, to see if they will extend the additional $600 for those who are on unemployment, if there's going to be another relief check for individuals that will come to people's home. They did the 1,200, if they're going to do that again. If there's going to be continued money to cities to be able to help them mitigate the impact, because it all plays into each other. I read an article just recently about our bonds. Bonds are loans. So we've issued bonds through our Atlanta Fulton County Recreation Authority, as well as through Invest Atlanta for the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, as well as State Farm Arena rehab project. And so those were tied to car rental tax, as well as additional revenue from, I believe it was sales tax, but neither here, oh, hotel motel tax. Well, as you know, hotel motel industry is struggling. They've laid off a lot of people because people aren't traveling. They aren't booking the hotels. Conventions are not happening because they're large groups of people. Car rental tax has gone to the wayside because people aren't renting cars because they're not traveling as much as they have been. All of these things play into each other, as well as your city budget. Your city budget has a large portion of the budget that is sales tax dependent. If people are not buying goods and services, if they're not able to go and get alcohol licensing, I know you heard a lot about that if you listened to the council meeting. We're looking for relief because they need to be able to have that to be able to draw people there, and the city's revenues are dependent on that as well. So at some point there's going to be a reckoning, particularly with the city. We just passed a budget over $600 million. I think it was 647 or somewhere around there. But at some point, I think we're going to, if things don't get better, and if the prediction is fall and winter is going to be worse, we're going to have to revisit our budget because the revenues that we had expected are not coming in. So COVID is permeating not only our health and our security, but it's also permeating the economy, and that has implications for all of us in one way or the other. Let's see if I have any other questions. Hell, I have called 311 numerous times to clean up the stray shopping carts and the homeless person sleeping under the bridge. So 311 is the system that you call and you put in the complaint. They will give you a number, and then they contact the department with the work order number. And then that work order number, they take that and they should be getting the departments to work. Now, understand everything is kind of behind because we are working remotely. Your 311 operator you call is not working from the call center anymore. They are taking those calls at home remotely. And our departments, particularly our solid waste department, which would pick up stuff like that, Public Works, they have been inundated. They have had a lot of employees out for COVID related illnesses as well. We have had some equipment challenges. So as far as the shopping carts, it might be good, Mr. Bagwell, to call the store from which those carts were taken, because they may come pick them up themselves because it's their own shopping carts, and those carts aren't cheap, and they probably will want to reclaim them. As far as the homeless person sleeping under the bridge, the city, since COVID, has stood down on moving homeless people because there's nowhere to move them to unless they take help that may be sought from them. If depending on them, I know there's a hotel that they have those that are elderly and those who have health issues that can go to, or those who have COVID. But we are really not arresting homeless people anymore, which is the only other thing that they can do. So I don't know if they may or may not remove that person from under the bridge, considering the fact I don't know where that person would go, but find another place to sleep. But if you have any more questions about that, Mr. Bagwell, please type in. I have about 8 more minutes. I don't want to keep everybody. Let me make sure. Let's see if I have any other questions. Will people be stopped from entering grocery stores without masks right now? the stores are going to be the ones that are going to have to enforce that and say, just like they say, no shirt, no shoes, no service, they're going to need to say no shirt, no shoes, no mask, no service. Because there's not something that the city would be able to enforce. It would have to be on those individual stores. I was trying to see more. Greetings, madam. This is Mr. Tyler. There's a lot of questions about the People's Uprising Commission, a release list of members show you as a member. Please clarify if it is a public, and for some reason I'm trying to hit see more and I can't. Oh, a public board of the city of Atlanta. So the People's Uprising Task Force is one that has been spearheaded by Council Member Antonio Brown. District 3, he had asked me to be an advisor, and initially I did accept his invitation to be on the advisory committee, but I have since resigned from that commission, so I am not a part of that commission. You probably are looking at the list when it first came out, but any of the updated lists will not show me as a member. It is not it was not a board that was adopted by city council at this point. I don't know if he will ask for adoption by the council, but right now it's an independent body. And it was spearheaded by Council Member Brown. Do I agree with private schools opening up their campus? And I think the key word is private. Whether I agree or not, I think the school issue is an issue that, you know, we at the city council will not make that decision. That decision will be made by the school board for the public schools, private schools by their boards. And I think it's an iffy issue. And as we see, as I had mentioned earlier, but when the numbers start to reflect what is going on in the fall and winter, they may have to rethink that. We want our kids back in school. They want to be back in school, but we also have to really be cautious of the fact that people may get ill. The kids may get ill. There's a Kawasaki disease syndrome the kids are getting with COVID and other complications. Not to mention that a lot of them are asymptomatic and they may be bringing it home. And then we can't forget the workers in the schools as well as the teachers, and some of them may have underlying issues. So right now, APS is delaying their start, and they may do it remotely. So I can't answer for private schools, but I think everybody need to be very cautious about that. And I know parents have to get back to work, but somehow we got to figure it out. Will APS keep the school closed? Do we need, and again, I heard that they're delaying their start, Miss Matthews, but I don't know what their final order is going to be. I think everybody is trying to listen to the experts and take the time. Do we need a doctor's order to get tested? No. When I went, you didn't even need an appointment, but you can go to Fulton County or DeKalb County's Board of Health's website. I'm sure there are sites listed there, or just Google Atlanta test sites. Some of them you need appointment, others you don't. The two that I took, I didn't need appointment, but the second one was difficult. I had to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning and sit in line, and they didn't open to 10. So I had to wait 2 hours before they even opened, although I was first in line by getting up really early and sitting there. But it's getting more difficult to get a test because more people are realizing the importance of it. So take whatever time it needs. You really need to know your status. When will the water boys be stopped? And that is a good question. It's comments that I've heard from a whole lot of people about it. And, you know, when it first started out, it was some children who were selling water. I saw them selling it, trying to make money for their football team, their baseball team, or whatever. Then it morphed into kids, you know, who generally needed the money. Their families needed the money. And now it's sort of taken off where it's becoming a lot more than that. More kids are doing it. They're doing it all over the city. There are complaints all over the city. And then there are people who are supporting them. And I was more want to see, how do we figure this out? I do know in response to that, the mayor established a youth entrepreneurial task force. Councilmember Marcy Overstreet is one of the co-chairs. I know they're working and they're supposed to be coming out with some recommendations, and I hope that they're successful. I also know that there's some smaller individual groups that have been working with some of the kids. However, as time is going on and as situations are playing out, I'm really not, my thinking on it is changing because these are children. I've seen videos where they're darting in and out of traffic, almost getting hit by cars, some of them being very aggressive, beating on cars, throwing water at cars, and unfortunately, just recently, one of them shooting a customer. So we're also seeing where, some bad elements, which are still youth, are sort of infiltrating and taking a liking to it because it's very lucrative for them. They can buy a case of water for $3 to $4 and sell them at $1 a piece, and they're making some money. So it's a delicate balance. We'll wait and see what this youth entrepreneurial task force comes up with, and hopefully their recommendations will help rein this in. But I'm not sure that there's an effort to quote unquote stop it at this point. We've got to find a way to be able to deal with it whenever, if we decide to stop it. I think people are not happy with children and youth being arrested, and we wouldn't want that. Let's see, I got a couple more questions and then. Okay, so somebody said if you want an antibody test, you may need a doctor's testing, but I'm hearing that these antibody tests are not necessarily that accurate. And even if you have antibodies, I'm hearing that they think they diminish and they don't necessarily keep you from getting COVID. So again, this is a new virus. We're learning something new every day. Let's see, this time is up, but I want to make sure I got everybody's questions. I think, let's see. I know it's Fulton County thing, but I think there's an issue that hasn't been addressed. Okay, that's about test sites. I think I got everything. Let's see. Do you agree? Okay, I got that. Mr. Johnson asked about a number of complaints against the officer that is charged with shooting Rashad Brooks. Public needs to know what size of the problem we have with complaints. I think the mayor's use of force task force, they're looking at some of those issues and maybe incorporating that where they may be more transparent. I know that's something some people are doing across the country where they're asking for officers' records to be publicly accessible. Ms. Dickerson, I don't know what opinion you were asking. Mr. Gentry, I'm not answering that question on here. Okay, I think I'm gonna wrap it up. Let me make sure. Yeah, wanted to. No question here. Oh, thank you for thanking me. So I don't want anybody to say I skipped their question. Somebody fears the water boys are being exploited, and I agree. And everybody, so the I don't like calling them water boys, but the water kids or the kids selling water is an issue. And again, we'll wait on the mayor's task force recommendations to see what they come up with. Thank you all. You have been very engaging and you've asked me a lot of questions. Thank you for thanking me, Mr. Bagwell. Again, this is another Conversations with the Council President. And you can always reach me. So I hope you all have liked my page, Felicia Moore, Atlanta City Council President. I'm also on YouTube now for those who are not on Facebook. and I'm on Instagram and Twitter. So please stay in touch. You can always email me in my office. That's the best way because my staff helps me keep up with the hundreds of emails I get a day at fmooreatlantag.gov, or you can call and leave a message because we are working remotely, and I will call you back at 404-330-6052. You all take care. Have a blessed day. Wear your face covering, do your social distancing, and see you later. Bye-bye.
All right, you good?